Welcome to Saturday versus Sunday. I'm Jeff Dover. With me is John Barman. Let's talk football.
Yeah, we're going to react to the Monday night game, as you can see by the shirts. Me and Dover representing. And it's a little belated. We couldn't get to it earlier. So this is just when we're going to get to it now.
A lot of stuff happening right now. There's the college rankings. There was an election in the U.S. So, you know,
and if you're
we're doing what we can.
If you're following along, you're just cashing in with our bets. So
another winning week.
Yep, this Thursday, we're going to give you another winning week. So,
yeah.
But anyways, let's get to this game. Do you want to start?
Sure. So this was, first of all, it was a good game. Okay. Like, I enjoyed watching it. It was a tight game. Both defenses were playing well. I don't think the offenses didn't feel like they were really hamstrung, but it was, you know, I enjoyed watching it. In terms of the yards, like Tampa Bay only had 284 yards. Kansas City's defense is really good. Kansas City had 384 yards and 28, almost 11 more first downs, and really killed them on the time of the possession, which I would say it really wore down Tampa's defense over time, but it's not like Kansas City was crushing it on offense. It's just their defense is really good. It was just all three phases. They just executed really well, I think.
Yeah, overall, I agree. It was a good game from both teams. I think Baker Mayfield showed up really good, especially without his top two receivers. I've heard a few people say like that kind of solidified him as actually a top 10 quarterback in the league. Seeing him play that well against that defense minus his two best receivers, and they were competitive the whole game and had a chance. Here we go. Had a chance to win this game. And Bowles, my goodness, Bowles. Is Todd Bowles the only person in the country that knew giving the ball back to Mahomes was a bad idea?
Yeah, it's man, I always start this kind of thing saying like hindsight's 2020, you know, like because you tie it up. But I mean, considering it was at Kansas City and considering like you just can't give them the ball back. Like, you know, that everyone knows that. And so that's a little, especially where they are in the standings. Like it's that the win would have meant so much for them. Like it's 5-4 instead of 4-5, you know, and it's a 1-2 point conversion. So, I mean, at the time I didn't think it was a grievous miscarriage of justice, but
it was so obvious to me. I thought,
okay.
What are you doing? Live or die right here on one play. The last thing you want. Okay. How about this? The best player in all of football is sitting on the bench and you want to make a decision that allows him another chance.
Yeah. The old adage is that if you're the better team, then you tie it and go to overtime. And if you're not, then you go for it. Is sort of the rough guideline of it. And they weren't. Kansas City is the better team. So they should have gone for it.
And Kansas City has the best unit on the field is Kansas City's defense. And you managed to push them back into the ends all the way to the goal line, scored, had multiple shots. And as if you don't have a 2-point play in your bag, just go for it. You just converted a 1 yard play. Whatever the other good one is, I'm sure the players are like, we got this.
Yeah.
And as soon as he kicked the field goal, I thought, first of all, not a guaranteed field goal in that weather.
No.
Extra point. Not a guarantee at all in that weather.
Yeah.
And just
because it was getting bad there at the end.
You know what's funny? Chiefs fans, looking at you, Looney Farm guy, Chiefs fans actually thought that was a nail biter. And I thought, no, it was completely obvious the Chiefs are going to win that game. I never once thought, maybe after halfway through the second quarter, I never thought the Bucs ever really had a chance. I mean, they were doing a really good job in the first half in general of hanging in there with them. But as the game wore on throughout the second half, I thought, okay, Tampa Bay has no chance at winning this game. And then right there on that goal line, the only way they were winning was the 2-pointer. So I guess, to be fair, the nail biter was that moment was the only actual nail biter. And when they chose not to, it was over. It was so obvious the Chiefs are going to win in overtime. So maybe and I get that. I guess fans of a given team just don't have. They're always worried their team's going to somehow drop a game. And like we've got a friend who's Santiago, a fan of the Georgia Bulldogs, actually was in the band, and every single game he thinks Georgia's going to lose, even though they're favored by 30 points and win by 40. But he's still sweating those games out. And I thought, how could he be that way? And then I realized, but Chiefs fans are the same way, even though to me it's an inevitability that they're going to win.
Well, and this is the only thing I'll say for the Kansas City fans is that, this isn't your 2021 Kansas City Chiefs, right?
No.
So when they were super dynamic on offense and it looked like no team had any chance to stop them, this is not that team. Like they have an amazing defense. They have they've cobbled together some players, some from a parking lot, some from very good teams, but it's a full team effort, to make it happen. And it's not dynamic on offense, but that defense is so smothering. Like
Right.
it's a real problem. So
But to your point, Hunt,
yeah,
Dover's misspoken parking lot player from a few shows ago, is starting to look really good. Like they were
yeah,
gashing them up the middle in the second half. And when I saw that,
yeah,
I thought, oh, this team can't be beaten. And
yeah.
if Pacheco comes back, even better, because now you've got two good backs to platoon, but Hunt's just getting more comfortable in the offense. But speaking about someone getting comfortable in the offense, DeAndre Hopkins, as soon as I saw that trade announced, I thought, okay, this is a three-peat for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Because the one thing they didn't have as a complementary piece to Kelce was another, what you would call possession receiver who you just throw it to. He's going to get open. Hopkins is just the same as finding gaps in the zone, finding ways to get open. He's got that feel. And when I saw that, I'm like, oh my God, they're never going to lose because now they have two options. No matter how much, even when people try to stop Kelce or try to focus on him, they can't.
Yeah.
But now you're stuck dealing with him and another total stud receiver who's going to, he's maybe not a home run threat, but it doesn't matter. He gets open everywhere all the time and never misses if you throw it to him.
He's older, a little long in the tooth in terms of his career, but he can still run every route. Like he can still run the go route and the deep post and things like that. So he's not a full-blown just possession guy in the inside. Like he can still make it happen. But you're right. And they even commented on that in the broadcast. Like it takes time to gel with the wide receiver and the quarterback, but they feel like they're on the same page
already,
early, which is scary. Yeah.
Yeah. One thing they mentioned in an interview with Mahomes, Mahomes said his body language is just very easy to read. So Mahomes, so when Hopkins is sensing an opening and he's going, and whatever the route's called, he can tell what Hopkins is doing. This is, what has it been, 2 weeks?
I know, which is nothing.
2 touchdowns already for him.
I know. And really, like, Mahomes is, this is an obvious statement, but he's the glue that's keeping it all together, because there was some crazy throws, like he does the pitch again, and when he's going out about where it looked like he really injured himself rolling out to the right there, but hopefully that's nothing too serious. But the way then he just flips it forward and stuff, I think, there's thousands of coaches out there that are just groaning when that happens, because every young high school, young college quarterback wants to do that. And that is absolutely the not safe way of doing it. And because there's a reason why you've never seen it before. And it's because you shouldn't do that. And he's an exception. But man, is everyone else going to want to try that, which is going to be a problem.
And that sidearm flick.
Oh,
when he just needs to find a passing lane.
Yeah.
That's another thing. Very, very few quarterbacks, only the experienced ones, like Stafford does it a lot. I can't really think of all the others who are
Kyler Murray. Some of the former, I feel like it's the baseball part that comes in that a little bit, but some of them came from that.
They're really good at recognizing, oh, I don't actually have a passing lane here. If I don't go sidearm, it's going to get blocked. Whereas less experienced quarterbacks recognize the route they want is open, and then they just release the ball right into a defender's helmet. It's like it had no chance. And I thought, what are you looking at? Like, yes, your receiver's open, but you don't actually have a lane. And I know that Aikman's pretty good at it, and some of the other former quarterbacks are pretty good at pointing out, like, well, I guess all the former players recognize, no, you got it. There needs to be a lane here. And they stress it with guys like Murray. But Mahomes is a big dude. And even him, there's no lane. He's got to get it around the guy if the guy's in his lane. And it's rare. Put it this way. It's rare to see Mahomes ever get a ball batted down for him not realizing, oh, I don't actually have a lane here.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. Last thing I'll say just about the Chiefs too, is because the defense looks amazing. It's hard to, and it's really a team defense. It doesn't feel like there's any one super dominant player.
There is.
Although, who's that?
Jones.
Perfect. So I'm glad you brought that up. Jones is but that was going to be my pick too. Like
Oh,
an
okay.
absolute dominant defensive player on Kansas City. He had 2 tackles yesterday.
Mhm.
That's his sole
Well,
line. But I'm just my point is that stats wise, it doesn't show how
oh, yes.
significant a player he is
Mhm.
because that you wouldn't see that. Just like there's some other people like on Tampa, one of their players had like 12 tackles. Antoine Winfield Jr., which I
Yeah.
think is one of the safeties, but
And
had 12 tackles and 5 solo, and Jones had 2, which is but he's man is he a problem on the inside. Like
mhm.
you
And
cannot stop
and
him.
he's absorbing all of the attention of the offensive line.
Yes.
Usually getting double teamed, so now you've got one-on-ones everywhere else, and
Yeah.
guys like Karlaftis are shining, and some of the other players. I mean, they're good players, but it really helps
No,
when you've got a generational player right next to you
exactly.
who's just taking all of the attention. Um, Speaking of defensive lines, we do have to give some flowers to the Bucks line. Was awesome. Vita
Their
Vea,
their defense their defense was good, okay? Like they were doing it well, but what's going to kill you every time is the possession of the ball, right? Like Kansas City had it 40 minutes and Tampa had it 25, and it's just a
Mhm.
matter of time before, like in the fourth quarter, like you said, you called it out earlier, like some of those runs are going for longer than they were in the first half, and you just can't stop it for that long of a
Mm-mm.
time.
This
So
was the best example of a matter of time, like grinding a team down.
yeah.
Because in the first half, I would say Tampa Bay had the advantage in almost all phases. It looked like, at least put it this way, versus what looks like a typical Chief game where you just aren't
Yeah.
beating them. For the first half, that defensive line was all over Mahomes, and
Yes.
it seems to me it was the most pressure. Chiefs fans, obviously, you guys know better than me, so put it in the comments. But did that not feel like the most stress he was under from a defensive line, at least in a half? I don't remember another line giving him that much trouble, at least
Mhm.
for a half. I mean, they sacked him what, 3, 4 times? It was a lot.
Mhm.
But in the second half, once that run game got going, whatever they figured out, I don't know if there's a lot of halftime adjustments or they were just told like just stay on your damn blocks. Whatever it was working because they were just gashing him right up the middle.
Yeah, he was sacked 4 times. So yeah.
Yeah, so that's a lot. That might be the
Yeah.
most this season, right?
Yeah. No, so the last thing I'll say, just like we said, this isn't your 2020 or 2021 Kansas City Chiefs, but this is a very effective football team. Like this
Mm-hmm.
reminds me of, like the Steelers or the Bears back in the heyday where it's like really good defense, don't turn the ball over on offense, mix it around a little bit, win the time of possession, and so Kansas City fans, I could see how it'd feel like a nail biter because it doesn't feel like how it used to, but this is an effective way to win.
Yeah. And so Kansas City Chiefs fans, nobody else thought it was a nail biter. It was obvious they were winning that game. So I mean, you know what? At least it's a roller coaster of emotional ride for the Chiefs fans of that team. But for
Mm,
everybody else, it's like, oh, how exactly are they going to win this time?
yeah.
And again, that was the most trouble another team, it looked like to me, has given them in at least in the first half of the game. The last thing I'll say is, given all of the injuries and how many receivers they're missing, I don't think it matters at all. Xavier Worthy, if he could have just had some spatial awareness, should have had a walk-in touchdown. I don't know how. I
Mhm.
mean, I think the ball was thrown well enough that he shouldn't have. I don't think that pass on that long pass pulled him out of bounds. I think he should have known where his feet were, but that's maybe just
Mm.
a rookie thing. But the threat of him for one or two, like we said a few shows ago, that threat of that bomb 2 or 3 times a game, it was there. They hit it and hit it. He just wasn't aware of where his feet were, which
Mm.
is he should get back. So that should have been a walk-in touchdown right there. And with Hopkins on the team now, that just stresses the defense even more to be cheating forward on wherever Hopkins and Kelce happens to be, which to me, Worthy is only just going to get more one-on-one deep
Mhm.
looks. I don't see how you solve this offense. The defense could possibly solve this offense. And even the Chiefs' other tight ends are starting to look a bit like Kelce. Like
Mhm.
maybe they're learning a lot from him. But there was a few times in that game where Mahomes found a tight end wide open in a zone, but it wasn't Kelce. And I thought,
No.
oh, that guy's right where he's supposed to be, but it's not Kelce. And I thought, oh my God, these guys it's rubbing off on the other tight ends.
Yeah. No, for sure. You're right about that. And it was no, it's really, the Kansas City's 8-0 and it's hard to picture how they're going to lose. That's because it's
I don't
someone's going to
understand.
have a bad game, you know. So it's the yeah, it was Justin Watson. I think that was the one he had 3 catches for
Mhm.
43 yards, and so it's yeah, no, it's the
Yeah.
yeah, they're good.
It's yeah, yeah, and they just hang in there even in these ugly games.
How do you
And
feel about the Kansas City Denver Broncos over 41.5?
I start
Because
feel
that
I feel better about it now.
do you? Okay,
Yeah.
because I was it's that this game was right on pace for that. You know, like the was you're going to be 2020 or you know like 24-17 like at the halftime at the end of the game. I mean, and I think that Tampa's offense is a little bit better than Denver's. So I
It
was,
is. It
yeah.
is.
So it's if it this game, if the Denver Kansas City game looks anything like this one did in the first 3 quarters, it could be a real problem. But anyway,
Yeah, I mean, again, Kansas City should have had another. It was a walk-in touchdown. There was
yeah, you're
nothing.
right.
It was just footwork on the receiver. So that should have been another 7 points on this total right here.
Yeah, I don't
And
really blame the receiver. He was going backwards, and he like
no, I
it was
understand. I
just yeah.
understand. But I don't know. I just can't picture DK Metcalf making that mistake. You know what I
Good
mean?
point.
Yeah, it's just they are just a machine in all phases. I just don't see any weakness on this team, even with
Mhm.
all of the injuries. Everyone's just decimated with injuries at this point. But man, they made some smart. Oh, and Uche, that was a smart move too. The defensive end. Yeah,
Yep.
maybe it's not like they got Miles Garrett or something, but they just
No,
added
no, that's
they added another quality piece to a dominant position already. The
yeah,
line. I don't know about the end, but the line. And they gave up very little. Like him and
yes,
Hopkins, when I saw both of those moves, I thought, man, this organization is buttoned up. They
for
didn't give
sure.
up much and they added really important pieces.
Yeah, and that was and like you said before, it's when you're those are when those pieces are that effective. Like because
Mm-hmm.
Jones is really good and he's going to get a lot of attention. So you don't need a Miles Garrett at the end position to
Mm-mm.
get pressure because that you've already got someone really good there. You know, so that's when you have a really effective piece.
Yep. Yep. I mean, I don't know who can compete with this. The Ravens look awesome, but holy smokes, this is just a different kind of looking team
You
here.
know,
And
does
I
the
don't
NFL have another dynasty problem?
well, I don't know if it's a problem, but it's for sure a dynasty. And man, they leveled up. Those 2 trades, they leveled up.
Mm.
All right. Well, I mean, I don't have anything else.
No,
What
that's
do
it
you
for
have
me.
anything else? All right. Well, we'll catch you guys next time.